Yeah.
You doubled your money.
Right.
With the extra mod.
Sure. I know. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Let me tell them as well. Yeah. I know. I've been quite blown away by it, really.
Alright, Cliff, you ready?
Yeah. Hold on. Twitter and YouTube live. Let's take a picture because I want this to actually be like official.
An official thing.
Okay. Let's see. I'm gonna try. Would you take a
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna actually get to your side here.
Hold on. Let's switch places real quick.
Lean in.
Let me just put this on here.
It's okay.
Whenever you're ready. I hope this
How
is
silly
okay.
does it get? Oh gosh, that's perfect. Nice. That's funny. Okay.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Here.
Let's do it.
Okay. Oh, that's me.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
is that
you. You're good.
Okay, we're live. That sounds good. We're not live yet, but we will be in a second. And that's the sign of the start of our show. I can't believe it, except it just happened for real. Mr. Justin is our producer, co-host, hiding in the background. You will not see Justin today.
No.
Welcome to the live show. We're going to talk about him, and we'll make fun about him behind his back, like we usually do.
It's okay. It happens normally.
We'll have a good laugh at his expense, as we always do. But welcome to a very special edition of the OneRing.net Torn Tuesday. Usually we are at 5, but now we're live at 12 noon. Welcome aboard, everybody. Hi, Hannah.
Hi.
What? What happened? Good morning.
Everything and nothing at the same time.
You're like, we're in a different time zone because, you guys are probably in a different time zone, but we have such a special show. And there's a reason why this mischief is happening the way it is, because we have such a special guest. Oh my gosh. Before you get too far down into the rabbit hole, welcome to the OneRing.net, biggest J.R.R. Tolkien web community in the world. We have seen all of you live for 6.5 years now here. We're broadcasting from Scum and Villainy Cantina here in the heart of Hollywood.
Yes, indeed.
What say you? Are you excited about today?
Very excited. I'm almost rendered speechless at the moment.
Because no one knows yet, unless you are here.
No one knows.
You guys know. Oh, look at the live chat. The live chat is blowing up. My gosh. Hello, look, there's Jeff. Jeff, yeah, you're awake in Kiwi land. Yes, you are, sir. I can't believe you're up here. It's good to see you. Louise, welcome to all of our live chatters. I want to introduce our guest in just a moment, but I want to encourage you guys to come and join us live.
Yes, you can Skype in, you can call, you can text.
Sure can. This is, after all, a live show, and we have multiple platforms: YouTube Live, Periscope, Facebook Live, Instagram Live. And
you said YouTube Live.
YouTube Live,
Yep.
and there's just such a huge list. So you join us live at theonering.net on our Facebook page, even on YouTube, and you get to interact with us. And above my head, this floating number, this is the hotline that's going, no, it's going this way. What is that number? 530, I should memorize this. It is area code 530-64-FRODO, for Frodo. You can call in, you can even text or call in live and speak with this wonderful gentleman.
Yes, our
This
super
gentleman here?
secret special guest.
Super secret. He's not secret. We've been talking about this for a while. This is our very, very special guest, director, actor, and bon vivant, man about town, ladies and gentlemen, Graham McTavish, right over here.
Hello.
Yeah!
Hooray!
Graham
Hooray!
McTavish, hooray! Now look at that, see? We've got live chatters going crazy. Everyone's going to be
yes.
3 p.m. in Canada. Okay. Oh, you're in Missoula, Montana, and it's Wednesday morning, 7 a.m. Wednesday morning in New Zealand.
Yes, indeed it is.
My gosh, Graham, you're a globe-trotting, traveling man.
Yes.
You were just at DragonCon in Atlanta.
I was. What a wild event that is. My goodness. I hadn't done it for 5 years. good God, I can't believe how many people. Extraordinary costumes.
Yes.
Extraordinary.
Now, we have been telling people for years that DragonCon is especially good
Yeah.
for the cosplay,
Yeah.
the costumes.
Yeah.
Nothing else in North America comes close.
No.
What did you see?
Oh, well, I tried to put up a couple of things that I saw. There was, I judged the costume competition
Oh, wow.
while I was there for the One Ring, actually.
Oh, great. That's great.
And
That's wonderful.
the person who won, whose name escapes me at the moment, extraordinary woman, did the most amazing Thorin Oakenshield costume. Entirely handmade.
Jeanette?
Do you know, I can't. It's terrible. I really should remember her name. But I was just blown away by everything. The sword, everything was made by her. And then I met another young lady. They're always women who dress as dwarves, by the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
They
The
just
very best Thorins I've ever seen are always women.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And there was a woman who dressed as Keely, who I took a photo of at my table, and she bore a uncanny resemblance to Aidan Turner. I mean, it really was. In fact, some people have thought it was Aidan.
Really?
She looks exactly like him.
Oh, wow.
It's quite, and she again handmade, amazing. And there was a great original Planet of the Apes couple. The original look.
The Chuck Heston 1969 film? Yes.
Incredible that I
Ooh.
took a picture of.
Yes.
And that, again, they made everything themselves. They took months and months. The Keely costume was 9 months in the making.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
yeah, very impressive.
Wow. I love it. I respect that you run around as much as you do and keep the schedule that you keep, because normally, folks, we do a nice 90-minute broadcast, but we're going to have an abbreviated show, time allowing for what we can. How do you sleep when you're
How do I
constantly on the
sleep?
next flight?
How do I sleep? Yeah, no, I do sleep. But it is, even for me, it's been a bit hectic recently. I did 4 different conventions in the last 4 weeks. And
That sounds insane.
yeah, I was at a
Utterly
Highland
insane.
Games in Canada. I was doing an Outlander convention in New York. And then I did Wizard World in Chicago. And then I did DragonCon. So, and in between that, I've been filming Lucifer. So I've had to go. And of course, all of those conventions are east. And Lucifer is shot here
Here in LA.
Los Angeles.
Right.
So, yeah, it's been.
Quite literally. I'm a fan of Lucifer. I've always been a big fan of the original comic books. The Lucifer character, created by Neil Gaiman in the Sandman universe.
Yeah.
And then Lucifer gets his own side comic book.
Right.
And lo and behold, he gets his own show.
Yeah.
And that piano bar, that club, that Lux is the name of his club.
Yes.
It's filmed at the El Capitan Theater just a few blocks down the road
Is
here.
that right? I didn't
Literally.
know that.
All external shots of Lucifer's nightclub are really the office entrance to the El Cap, where the El Capitan Theater is, right down there.
That's hilarious.
It's true, because I've been by there a million times. I live a few blocks from here,
Right.
so I'm usually walking around, taking in the energy from the people, and look, there he is.
Oh,
There's
wow.
everybody. And I'm so happy that you're on this show.
Yeah, no, it's very
so
good.
cool.
I'm enjoying it. Yeah, we're nearly finished the 2nd episode. And yeah, it's going well. It's going well. Lovely, lovely cast of people, actually.
Yes.
The people I've worked with so far, all of them just delightful.
You're knocking off a big list of popular Vertigo comic books.
I
Okay.
know.
Preacher, Lucifer,
Yeah.
what's next?
Yeah, goodness me, I don't know. Well, I guess, Aquaman is part of the DC universe, so I did that. Oh, hello.
Oh, yes.
That was Justin's ghost. Do not be scared.
So I did that last year.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
it's just weird how that's happened. Certainly not planned by me. I mean, Preacher, I loved those comics. I loved
Yes.
them, and I'm really enjoying playing that part of the Saint of Killers.
Garth Ennis is quite a writer.
He is amazing.
He
yeah.
created really something with that comic book,
Yeah.
and it's really great that Seth Rogen was such a fan
Oh, yeah.
from the 90s,
Yeah.
because I started reading those books in the 90s
Right.
when Vertigo was launched as a separate, editorial masthead for DC.
Yeah.
So for those folks who are not hardcore comic book fans, you have brightly colored, optimistic heroes in the DC universe. A lot of people know that Wonder Woman and Superman and the characters in the DC world are usually more bright and optimistic, and there's a certain slant to DC, which is unique from Marvel. But when DC wanted to do darker stories with horror, supernatural suspense, dark fantasy, and some of the weird, disturbed stuff, they started Vertigo as a separate creation
Right.
so that those comic book titles could have a home. And thus, Sandman and Preacher and a lot of other amazing titles.
Yeah, yeah.
there.
Well, I mean, Preacher certainly inhabits that universe of darkness and weirdness. And,
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty crazy. So I'm having a ball doing that. Really have.
I'm thrilled.
No, it's great.
You have hit two of my biggest fandoms, Tolkien and Vertigo Comics, like in the same go.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad to be of service.
I love it.
Absolutely.
It's great.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, it's been a great experience actually working on those. And Lucifer, I didn't know of Lucifer actually I knew of it as a show, but I didn't know of it as a comic. So that's
In the comic, it's just a theosophical idea
Yeah.
that took Lucifer to branch off into a whole separate story.
Yeah.
It's very interesting that comic books can actually go into areas that are not just, smash the villain and save the day and stop
Sure.
the bomb.
Sure.
There's actually a concept of discussing theology in Lucifer, where Lucifer wanted to not be trapped in predestination
Yes.
of the way that God planned the universe.
Yeah.
So he makes a separate universe of his own with his own separate rules of divinity. And it's a very interesting world.
Well, I mean,
Very interesting.
I mean, Preacher as well
Yes.
talks about theology and questions the whole concept of religion and God and the devil and all these sort of things. It's very, very, very interesting. And along the way, you get to meet some, vampires, crazed in-laws, cowboys from hell, that kind of thing. So,
Well, speaking of vampires, you're also in Castlevania, which, personally, that's one of my favorite shows.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
No, I loved working on that. Season 2, I think, comes out in October. 8 episodes, I believe, it's going to be. And yeah, we had a great time, and I got to work with Richard Armitage again, bizarrely.
As Belmont.
Yeah.
Yes,
as
yes,
Belmont.
Yes, I mean the world is a strange place. So you end up running around all over New Zealand with somebody, and then you end up being in Castlevania with them. So yeah, that's the business I'm in, I suppose.
Are you in the same room together when you're recording?
Well, no, not the audience cannot hear that question in the distance, but the question from our producer is, are you in the same room ever with Mr. Armitage?
No, it's a strange part of that side of the business when you're recording animated stuff. Not always. I mean, when I did Kung Fu Panda, all the characters in the scenes that I was in were in the room at the same time, so we were recording multiple. When I did the Avengers, when I was Loki, similarly, everybody was
Yes.
in the room.
Yes.
But with this, it was partly to do with everyone's schedule. We were recorded separately. So Richard was shooting Berlin Station in Europe, so he could only fit in a certain amount of time. I was doing Preacher, so I had to be brought in. So we didn't actually occupy the same space at any time,
Right.
which is a strange thing, considering we are talking to each other. But there you go.
Indeed. I think it's hilarious that you and Richard are working together again.
I know.
And instead of being dwarven brothers or kinsmen, and now you're really polar opposites,
Oh, yeah.
opposing forces.
Yeah.
I love Castlevania as well as you do. Wasn't it interesting that Netflix decided to do a very brief 4-episode introduction?
Yeah.
Just to give people a flavor of it.
Yeah.
And then they put even more production money after the success of those episodes to give you this new first season. And I thought that was a very intriguing way to platform the show and get
Yeah.
appetites whetted.
Yeah. They played it very carefully, actually. It was very interesting to see that essentially we did the first season, and then they waited ages before announcing it. Ages and ages. We'd recorded it way in advance of the announcement of the series.
Oh, really?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah. So they knew that they were going to be doing it, but we were under all sorts of embargoes and all the rest of it to stop any mention of us working on it for, I think it was the best part of a year. I mean, it was a long, long time.
Wow. Keep
And-
it secret, keep it safe.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah.
Gandalf? Really?
Well, and they understand how to tease an audience, how to get them interested. And equally, after the success of what we'd already recorded with the first season, we'd recorded the second season again well in advance of any announcement of a second season. So they play it very carefully and cleverly, I think.
Hannah, you'll back me up on this. You're a fan of Castlevania as well.
Indeed, I am.
This villain that Mr. McTavish is so lucky to be playing is so well motivated. As far as Dracula is concerned and the death of his wife in the opening episode 1, he is so completely valid and justified in his behavior to punish those people.
Sure.
And I find it really, really fascinating that a good villain is sometimes not someone you just hate, but it's someone you understand a little bit.
Well, I think any, you know, I'm always loath to fall into those categories of good and evil, and the thing about people who do bad things is that sometimes, or most times, they believe they're doing them for the right reason.
Right.
So, for instance, Preacher, the Saint of Killers, I could argue that he is motivated by the tragedy that befell his family, and he is taking revenge. Now, admittedly, he takes it quite far. He does kill quite a lot of people, but he's very upset. And his motivation, certainly in the first 2 seasons of Preacher, thus far, is to be reunited with his family in heaven. That's what he wants. That's the deal that he's made.
Yes, indeed.
And similarly, did the Dougal Mackenzie, there is a man who is a complicated individual. He does bad things. He manipulates people. He betrays people. But he's also fiercely loyal to people. He is very passionate about the cause he believes in. And he is interesting to play as a result, because I think it's almost a curse for actors if they end up playing a character that is so two-dimensional that really all you're doing is you're just playing a thoroughly good person. And speaking personally, that would bore me to death. So I prefer the guys that are, they have a little grey in them. They're not, they're not
multi-dimensional.
white. Yeah, totally. And because that's human. That's what we're like. That's what people are like. Nobody's perfect. And, these are extreme examples, obviously. A man that walks around with 2 Walker 44 Colts shooting people is doing some pretty bad things. But we all make mistakes. And, so I think as an actor to portray people that have that complication is more interesting.
Excellent. We have a live question from the hotline. If you guys want to be part of the hotline, call, text right now, 530-64-FRODO. Hello, this is Jessica from Texas. Glad I caught this live. We're glad to have you here, Jessica. It's lovely to see you.
Yes,
I have a question for Graham. I'm a big fan of Outlander and The Hobbit, of course, both iconic roles in settings and times very different from ours. And she asks, which role was the harder one to prepare for, and why?
Well, interesting question. I mean, in terms of preparation, I don't think anything can compare with The Hobbit, because we spent, when I got the job, I spent 3 months here in Los Angeles training physically to get ready for it. And then we went to New Zealand, and I trained with everyone else for a further 3 months to get physically prepared for it, as well as dwarf movement training, the speaking dwarvish, weapons training, riding. So we were, fully immersed. So in terms of preparation, that was immense. That was 6 months of getting ready to play that role. And I'm really glad I did, because you needed that preparation in order to cope with the physical demands of the part. We all did.
Yes.
With Dougal, the preparation was much more academic, I suppose, in that I'd always been a student of history and Scottish history, and so I knew the period. I knew the world that he inhabited, but nevertheless I did more research about the kind of world that he would have been in at that time, and the politics of the day and all the rest of it.
Politics, rival clansmen.
I did that kind of preparation, but I'd ridden a lot before, so I didn't have to worry too much about the horse side of things. I'd done a lot of sword fighting, so I didn't need to worry too much about that. One of the useful things I learned was how to put on a full kilt, which involves, if anybody's interested, laying the plaid down, pleating it yourself, lying on it, and then wrapping yourself around it with the belt, tying the belt, and then pulling the whole thing over. So not the kind of modern kilt that you wear.
Well, I never heard of this.
This is a single 14-yard piece of cloth. 14 feet, sorry, not 14 yards. 14 feet piece of cloth. And it's immense. And it was a very, very practical garment. You could sleep in it. You could carry things in it. You could disguise yourself in it. It was great camouflage. It kept you warm. So, yeah, we learned about that.
Wow.
Wow.
That's really interesting.
That's super cool.
It's really cool,
actually.
Yeah, it was great, yeah.
I want to. Part of me wants to digress and talk about the merits of Scottish independence and the history of Scotland, because I'm a history buff too.
Sure.
It's so fascinating to me. Watching Game of Thrones is always interesting because you realize there are strong reflections in the writing to actual moments and episodes in Northern European history. So many of them. Yeah. But Outlander is just so cool. Any time travel show of any kind is cool.
I know.
Automatically cool.
It's great. And weirdly, of course, Outlander is a show that involves time travel, not for my character, but Preacher involves time travel for my character. Yeah. So I just can't get away from it.
You can't.
I can't get away from time travel. It's very strange. But this way I get to travel from the 19th century to the 21st century, so that's quite fun.
Hey there. Well, that is so cool. Super, super, super cool. Looking at the live chat, what do we have here? What was it like playing a dwarf? As if nobody has ever asked you that question before.
Nobody has ever asked me that question. That's
quite surprising, actually.
All right. Tatiana is more specific. She says, were the costumes as heavy as they seemed? I think I know the answer.
Yes, they were.
Yes.
They were basically mine at its heaviest, with weapons and cloak, was 70 pounds over my body weight. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So we would run in that. Yeah. So that was you'd have size 18 boots. Each of my prosthetic arms weighed 5 pounds alone. Really? And then everything else. And so somebody once tried to describe the entire thing. It was as if you wrapped yourself in multiple sleeping bags, then wrapped my arms in multiple washing up gloves, put like a tea cozy on my head and then strapped it to it, and then stuck diving boots on, and then, action. Now, act.
Ouch.
Nowhere for the heat to go, nothing, just a ball of sweat.
Can I mention the unmentionable?
What?
Scene 88.
Scene 88.
Oh, for those who don't know, that's a granular joke for Hobbit movie fans.
Yes.
Scene 88, Graham.
Scene 88.
Tell us.
It was a truly epic scene. In the script, it didn't read that long. It was essentially, we run away from the wargs. That was kind of it. And it went on for weeks. We ran all over New Zealand. And eventually the stunt department actually made running shirts with "I survived Scene 88" written on them, as if they were part of an actual marathon that had been run, and it was a marathon. So we were charging around all over the place, being pursued by imaginary creatures because of course we couldn't see them.
Sylvester McCoy had the easy part.
Yeah. Please. I mean, come on. I mean, that must have been really tiring for him, standing on a green screen stage, pretending that he was being pulled by rabbits. Yes. We did the running. Yes. And, amazingly, I do remember in one particular moment, we had to do a sprint over quite some distance, probably about 100, 130 yards on a long lens. Peter was over by the monitors, and we were way, way, way back. And on action, we just had to hoof it. We just had to run and run. And we'd all been training, and we were fit. I mean, it's probably the fittest I've ever been in my life.
Training with Terry Notary is fantastic. I'm sure he helps.
The dwarf movement training with Terry was great. But the physical, we did a lot of physical training with the stunt department, and we were, cardio-wise and everything like that, we were strong. And we ran at full pelt, towards the camera, really going, and and cut. And I remember Jimmy Nesbitt, he pulled a muscle in his leg, and he couldn't do the next take. Everyone else was literally collapsed on the ground. People were heaving. Aidan was kind of lying there saying, "Oh my God, no more." And but we thought we did it. And Peter said, "Yep, that was great, guys. It just needs to be faster."
Oh no!
Oh yes. And there was no
no.
faster.
There isn't.
There was no faster. We'd reached the limit of physics. We literally could not go any faster. So we
That's why
broke
we
that
have
news to him
editing.
gently. We did do another take, but yeah, it was some of it was quite brutal. but-
I'm sorry, Peter. Human beings aren't built that way, are they?
And he didn't. I don't think until he actually wore. He came in one day and they put him in the prosthetic, the dwarf prosthetic.
Oh, for his cameo?
Well, yes, and yes. So they put him in the dwarf prosthetic, and they put him in a dwarf costume. Not a particularly heavy costume, just your, no weapons, nothing like that. He was
Right.
just in a costume. One day, not even a full day, and it was only then that he fully realized what it was. He said, "I have no idea how you've coped with this for so long." And we were like, yes, Peter. Thank you. And Richard Armitage did say when we were doing it that however much, you see it and you kind of sympathize or imagine what it was like, there's only 13 people that will ever know, well, actually 14, including John Rhys Davies,
Right.
14 people that will ever know what it was like to be one of those people.
I'm
And,
sorry, but that sounds like hell on earth. Like,
it was.
Really
Well,
does.
it wasn't. It wasn't. I mean, to be honest, I don't want to make out that it was so bad because it
Right.
was an enormous privilege as well. And,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I never want to come across as one of these actors who goes, "Oh God, it was so hard. Oh no, it was terrible." I've done hard work
right.
in my life. Like digging roads and all of that kind of thing. And listen, at the end of the day, if you're on a movie set, people are bringing you coffees. You get driven everywhere. There's beautiful catering. I mean, they flew in a barista truck to the top of a mountain on The Hobbit
Wow.
with professional baristas. So this isn't like super hardship time. It's,
Right, right.
you're being looked after. So you have to put it in perspective.
Yeah.
It's
It's
not
just the
that bad.
physical aspect.
The physical aspect, well, you just have to train yourself for
Right,
it. And then,
right.
then you're okay. Your body adapts to that. But
So are you ready to wear it again if Amazon calls?
any moment, I've got it in the car. I'll just slip it on.
Yes.
Yep, ready to go.
Oh.
But
Ready to go.
would you do an Amazon TV series now that they're going back to Middle Earth?
Oh, of course. I mean, it's an amazing world to inhabit. The world of Middle Earth. It's fascinating. I was as big a fan of Lord of the Rings as anybody. I went to see every single one of those films the day they came out, and I saw them all at the Odeon Leicester Square in London.
Wow.
And then years later, I ended up going to the premiere of the first Hobbit movie in the Odeon Leicester Square in London, and that was an extraordinary moment in your life, But I loved those films, and to be part of that world, it was. You had to pinch yourself a lot of the time. and-
Did you notice with the cast and crew, especially the crew, that was the crew more fans during the Hobbit years? The quality is noticeable on screen versus many other TV shows and movies. Do you think fandom has a role in the quality?
Yeah, well, Peter is a fan, so that's where it starts, and it's important to remember that Peter made Lord of the Rings. I mean, he would say this himself. He made Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit for himself. Those are his visions of those books, and so he wasn't making it for an audience per se, and it's something that he's said to me in preparation for my own directing of a film, that remember that you should make your vision what you want to see, and that's what he did. So he brought his geeky fan love for that world and translated it onto screen, and certainly the people that went along with him on it, super enthusiastic. They'd do anything for Peter, anything at all.
The question, not a question, but one of the cute things that came out of The Hobbit was the experience of you, Dwalin, this very intimidating, very large for a dwarf. I mean, the way that
He was
you
large.
arrive in The Hobbit. Imagine all these people who've never seen The Lord of the Rings, or there's younger kids who've seen nothing, and they come into The Hobbit for the first time.
Yeah.
You are the entry point for dwarven culture and all dwarf characters, period.
This is
for
true.
those kids who've never seen one before. And you're so intimidating to poor Martin Freeman in that opening scene. He doesn't know what to think of you. But it ends up becoming rather cute, and you eat all of his dinner, and then the jokes come in with you trying to get those cookies.
Yes.
Trying to get. So a lot of fans have made action figures or toys or fan art always depicting you in relationship with your hand getting stuck in that jar of cookies.
I know.
Isn't
I
that
know.
the thing?
I know. It's lovely.
That is the thing for you,
was
right?
one of
I
those
know.
people.
I mean, all of those. It's strange, you know. We did a lot of those things just in the situation on the day. You know, there was no. It wasn't scripted. Dwalin's hand goes into the cookie jar and gets caught by Balin.
Right.
It was not scripted that Dwalin and Balin headbutt each other when they meet.
I love that.
So all of that was, we made it up. And I remember with regard to the headbutt, I said to Peter originally, I said, I think, you know, because Ken's much smaller than I am, and I was at that time immensely strong. I'd got very, very strong. And I said, I think I'd pick him up. I think I'd pick him up and I'd spin him around like a child. And we tried it. We did it. We did it. Ken walks in. I go up to him, brother, grab hold of him. I lifted him off the ground and spun him around like a little girl.
That footage
basically.
exists?
Somewhere.
Oh my gosh.
Spun him around like a little girl. Now,
Okay.
thing is, it wasn't particularly dignified for Ken.
Oh, okay.
From Ken's point of view, being spun around like a child probably didn't make him feel great. So he said very gently, not so keen on that idea. And so we thought, okay, what should we do? And then I said, well, I think, and we'd practiced this with Terry in Dwarf Movement. We'd practiced Dwarven greetings, all sorts of different ones, different hand movements, different, you know, elbows. There's footage of me and Richard kicking each other's boots as a sort of greeting, and then throwing each other, you know, sort of chest bumping each other and that kind of thing. And we tried all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And I said on the day, well, I just think, and because it's the whole Scottish thing, I said, I think they'd headbutt each other. I think that would be a sign of affection between them. And it wouldn't hurt. They're just so ridiculously tough. And I think it would establish this ridiculous level of violence that they're capable of, even to people that they love. So that's what we went with. We went with the headbutt.
Speaking of
I love that.
Some of the directing choices, we're bringing up on screen the IndieGoGo that you have going on right now.
Yeah.
So what is Peter Jackson responsible for inspiring you to pursue directing, or have you just worked with that many directors that are just so generous that this like where does the bridge come from between I'm an actor, I'm a working actor, I'm a successful actor, now I want to direct?
Yeah, it's. I wish I could say that it was a sort of slow plan that developed, but really what happened, I mean, you know, obviously Peter's very inspiring, and I've worked with a number of directors who I've found very inspiring, but there's been certain points in my life. I wrote a play about Vincent van Gogh, for instance, because I wanted to be seen on stage. So I thought, well, the easiest way to do it is just write my own play. And so I wrote it with another actor, and we toured it all. We ended up touring it all over the world. I did a production of Long Day's Journey into Night by Eugene O'Neill. I loved doing it so much that I produced a tour of it. Not because I wanted to become a theatre producer, but I just wanted to get that work out there, that particular project. And similarly with something like this Guest of Summer, the IndieGoGo funding project, when my friend Paul Kavanagh wrote the script and gave it to me, originally I just wanted to be in it. That was the plan. We would get somebody else to direct it. And then the more I read the script, the more I realized that I knew how I wanted it to look. I had a complete vision of how I wanted that film to look. And it slowly became, well, I want to be the guy that creates that world. And so that's what prompted the whole directing thing. So it's not that I now see myself in the future as a film director. This may be the only time I ever do it. But I really, really, really want to make this film and be in control of it, really, to have control of the vision.
And are there other Hobbit people involved in this movie?
There are, yes. There are a few hobbits, actually. Well, a few dwarves, sorry. No actual hobbits. Yes, there's Dino Gorman. is going to be in it. Adam Brown is going to be in it. Jed Brophy and Mark Hadlow, they are both going to be in it as well. So it'll be a little reunion. Yes, it'll be very strange. The characters that we'll all be playing couldn't be further removed from the ones that we played in The Hobbit. I mean, this is a very dark horror comedy. It's for those that are familiar with these films, it's a cross between With Nail and I that was made in the late 80s.
I love With Nail and I.
Right.
Oh my! You're the first person in many years to mention that movie. Thank you.
I know.
I love that movie.
It's frightening the number of people that have never ever come across it, and it's
awesome.
It's a landmark comedy film.
Yes.
It's incredibly funny.
Yes.
Really, plot-wise, hardly anything happens, but it's just hysterical. It's one of the most quotable films ever made.
Get in the back of the van.
Exactly.
You remember that?
Oh yeah. So you've got With Nail and I,
So good.
that world, that sort of comic world involving, in the case of my film, again, 3 unemployed actors going to the country to paint their friend's cottage and ending up in the wrong village. And the village brings another film into play, which is The Wicker Man. That's the world of the village. The world of the village is a group of really creepy, strange people, all of whom are men, apart from one man who dresses as a woman, who calls himself Miss Lady. And,
Sounds like West Hollywood on a Friday night.
Exactly. We modeled it on West Hollywood on a Friday night.
I had to.
Yeah,
I love it.
And there are a few people I passed in the street actually that could fit well into this particular film. But they, so you've got this collision of great comedy, I think, great comic writing by my friend Paul, and this very, very dark undertone, this undercurrent that goes through the entire film. And it's got elements of 1970s Hammer House of Horror movies, those kind of things. It's got elements of sort of French farce, really.
Yes.
You've got literally doors opening, doors shutting, mad behavior inside this building. And it's a lot of fun. So we've had an incredible response from the fandom with the campaign. We're over 200,000 now, I believe.
That's right. We're originally
that's
looking for a
wonderful.
goal of 100,000. You're
Yep.
at 210,000 and up.
Yeah, it's
so huge.
And I have to say that I did not expect this response. I mean, it's the first time I've ever done anything like this, so I have nothing to compare it to. But I am so humbled, and I don't use that word lightly, by the fan response to this, and really, wanting to get behind what is essentially a low-budget independent film. So we can take this money that these people are continuing to generously donate and put it towards something that they will help to have made.
To clarify, this is a short or a feature length?
Oh no, it's a feature.
It's a feature. Wow.
It is a
Excellent.
feature.
Oh,
It's
wow.
a feature. So we're going to be we're going to use the money that the fans have donated to leverage finance from other investors. We're
Indeed.
hoping to get a good tax break in New Zealand. We're working on that because we want to shoot it in New Zealand, and then we'll make the movie. And it's with my schedule, it's probably not going to be going into production until probably about 10 months from now,
Oh, okay.
because of stuff that I'll be doing in the meantime. But yeah, it's very exciting, and there are some great things still available, folks. Some great perks.
For
Put
those
your hand in your pocket. You know you want to do it. We need your cash. Hand it over.
For those fans who are tuning in, you need to go to IndieGoGo.com, and you can search for either Graham McTavish or search for the title of this amazing project, This Guest of Summer.
Correct.
The references to Hammer films and the references to With Nail and I,
Yeah.
especially I can't imagine a hybrid of The Wicker Man and With Nail and I.
Oh, yeah.
This sounds so good.
It's
Yes.
great.
I'm so into this
I'm
right
pretty
now.
honestly,
psyched up.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, I know I'm biased, but it is really very original and very funny, and there's some really disturbing moments in it, that's for sure. The village is populated by people whose names are essentially nouns. So they're called Catcher and Cutter and Brewer and Wetter and Bale, and so there's they're quasi-Dickensian figures who dress in a slightly strange way, speak in a slightly archaic language, and just get up to some really weird shit. Yeah.
Hannah is a very talented film director, this young woman right here.
Very good.
And I'm sure that she's probably wondering, what does one do as a first-time director to, ask the man yourself.
Well, I guess my question is, from going from actor to film director, is there do you view it in a different way rather than somebody that, like myself would? Because you could, spot out more so I want this person to do this in this specific way and just imagine this.
Yeah, I think in the same way that I came into acting, which was by accident, really, there's a great advantage to ignorance and no idea of what you're getting into. That was certainly the case with acting. So I didn't go to drama school, so I didn't have this the weight of training behind me as to this is how you act. And I think I'll be approaching directing in the same way. I am confident that I know how to direct actors because I know what I like. It might not be what everybody else likes, but I know what I like. Photographically, I have ideas based on films that I've loved and directors that I've loved their work. But I will be relying on the help of some great other people to guide me with some of that stuff. I don't know about how to light a film set.
Right.
So I'm going to make sure that the person who's standing next to me who does do that kind of thing is really good at it.
Yeah.
I will have very strong views on things like costume and makeup. I do have strong views about those. I want, and in terms of how the thing is pitched, I have very strong views on how it should look overall. Referencing something like The Wicker Man, for instance, one of the strengths of The Wicker Man is that it doesn't follow conventional horror tropes. It's very brightly lit. The music is generally very uplifting and happy. People are often smiling, and yet it is one of the most disturbing films you'll ever see.
Yes.
So it's not jumping around and going, "Oh my God, I didn't expect that." It's just getting under your skin and making you
tension building.
Yeah, making you feel uneasy all the time, and that's the kind of thing I'll be going for. Similarly with the music, when I get a composer on board, I want him or her to have a real sense that this is not, I don't want horror music. I want something quite different. And so I have strong ideas. I can be very opinionated. And I'll probably be some kind of dictator, really. So yeah, be prepared.
Isn't every director though?
Yeah, you kind of have to
in
be a
their
little
own
bit.
way.
Well, you have to have your head around the entire thing.
Right. Yeah.
And that's something I definitely learned from Peter, is that he carries the whole movie in his head. He knows. Right. So when he walks on set in scene 88, he knows how that scene fits in the whole, and therefore how he wants it to be shot. And I know he's said in the past that when he's been directing people, that there'll be an actor, I think he said this about Ian Holm actually, that Ian was always very wanting to get every take perfect, you know, and of course you do as an actor. You want it to be from beginning to end, because your background is stage, where you're not getting cut points and all the rest of it. But from Peter's point of view, he knows what he wants to take from each take. So from his point of view, it didn't matter if some of it wasn't as good as the previous take, as long as he had enough to make the whole thing look amazing. And so that's well.
As we wrap up your conversation here, I know you've got other commitments.
Oh my goodness!
You've got only a couple days left on your IndieGoGo, correct?
Friday. Yeah. I think it finishes on Friday. Yes. So you need, please, whatever you can do. There's a couple of really great. If you want to be given a tour of either Hobbit locations or Outlander locations, there is a great perk to be found, and I will be your guide. Be prepared.
You guys hear that? You better support them. Come on.
Yeah. But I mean, if you've got if anybody's got a couple of more questions, I'd be very happy to answer.
I just have one question. You've worked on Outlander and Preacher and some great TV shows. have you worked with any directors or showrunners? Do you think that would be great to carry on the Middle-earth story with Amazon?
Gosh, that's a good question.
Who runs Outlander? Ron?
Well, Ron Moore was is the showrunner on it. Actually, Ron would be a great choice. Actually, I think. I mean, he's got a really passionate control, if it's not too strong a word to use, over the material. So he knows, if he was to take on something like Middle-earth, he reminded me of Peter in many ways. Very singular in terms of his vision. And so Ron would be a great choice, actually. I've only just discovered Battlestar Galactica. Which I've been binge watching. Fantastic. Fantastic.
Really good stuff.
I'm really been enjoying that. Yeah, he's great, Ron.
The idea of Lord of the Rings fans getting much more energized, as we have been for the upcoming, Amazon TV series, it's caught fire. Like the energy in the Lord of the Rings fandom
I'm sure.
has really, the enthusiasm has caught fire.
Oh, it's been through the roof.
It has been.
Oh, yeah.
And I think you're getting a sense of this enthusiasm with the funding on your IndieGoGo, which we're incredibly happy to support you on.
Thank you. No, it's been great. I'm actually curious. The Amazon show, it's not a remake of Lord of the Rings in that way. It's another part of the Middle-earth story, isn't it?
They have licensed all of these pieces of the story from the appendix in the back of the book. And Amazon promised in their press release that they're not going to do a retread of what Peter Jackson has already done. The tale of the War of the Ring was lightning in a bottle. They got their 11 out of 11 Oscars for Return of the King. That's done. Yeah. Now Amazon promises to take us to other corners of the map.
Wow.
Therefore, Ken Stott, Dwalin, his character would get a chance maybe to go back and attempt to reclaim Moria.
Yes,
which fails, and the Balrog is loosened, and then ultimately we see Adam Brown's skeleton in Fellowship of the Ring, right?
That's right.
So there's so many opportunities for all these familiar characters and places to be revisited. I want you back in Middle-earth.
Yes. We all want you back.
I would love to be back.
I want you back in Middle-earth. I do.
Dwalin, I've often wondered what he was doing before and after. That would be an interesting story from my point of view. Yeah, for sure.
Are you listening, Amazon? Are you listening, Amazon? Make it
I'm
happen.
Here. I am here.
Make it happen. Make it happen. Thank you so much for your time.
Oh, no, I'm so sorry it's been so short, but it went incredibly quickly, and I hope people found out something new.
Yes, indeed. Yes. I mean, we could fill up 90 minutes in a blink.
I know, of course you can. But
it's great.
Yeah, but thanks so much for having me.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule just to come down here. I mean, it really means a lot to us. Really does.
Oh, well, it's my pleasure. Absolutely.
All right, for all the folks at home, Mr. Graham McTavish is about to leave the show, but we're going to continue and finish our broadcast. Graham, my friend. Yes, sir. Thank you very kindly, sir.
Thanks, man.
Really good to see you again.
Thank you. Oh, banged your hand. I'm so
great
sorry.
to see you again.
Hurt your hand.
All right, you folks.
Thank you.
Go to IndieGoGo.com and look for this guest of summer under the name Graham McTavish. You can even, 2 more days, only 2 more days, right?
What day is it today?
It's
3. 4. It says in America on this time zone, 4 days left for funding. Let's do it. Yes, sir. Travel safe to the west side, okay?
Yes.
This poor man has to go through LA traffic now. He's like
LA traffic is worse than Scene 88.
Ah, what a pleasure. What a pleasure to have. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Mr. Graham McTavish. He's awesome, by the way.
Yes, he is.
You know what?
Yes, you are.
Despite that reputation he has, he's awesome. Bye-bye, Graham. That's so awesome. Wow. Hey, look, we did it. Hannah, you missed it. Come on, timing. Timing is everything. Ladies and gentlemen, we just had Graham McTavish for a
Hey, man, I'm starstruck. Leave me alone.
Flashpoint interview, and now he's racing off to, well, probably go work on Lucifer because they're actively filming. And he just finished running around the country and back doing DragonCon.
I mean, 4 conventions in 4 weeks.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. Kyle, come join us in the hot seat. Mr. Musgrove is going to join us. Everybody's here.
Our
this
cosplay.
Is so cool. And you guys were live. You were here. Thank you for joining us live while this happened. There is like I said, so much energy rising and building in the fan community.
Oh, yeah.
And in just about 3 weeks, we're going to see even more of that energy at the Bilbo Baggins birthday bash. Why are we talking about this now when we just had Graham here? Because
it's probably coming up.
Because it is, well, he might be there.
Oh.
He's invited. Okay, here in Los Angeles, and anybody who's in the state of California, we encourage everybody to come and join us on Saturday, September 22nd, for a huge live event. It's a picnic. It is a potluck picnic with hundreds and hundreds of people.
And games and costumes.
Costumes and contests, trivia, cosplay. The birthday bash is like the single biggest surprise for anybody in California. Come and join us at Griffith Park. You can see the event on Facebook. Just type in, Baggins birthday bash. You will find it. And to everybody in the nation, you can drive across state lines on a beautiful Saturday. Come and join us. It's all ages, and it's free.
Yes.
It's free.
Family friendly and free.
Two of my least favorite things, but for this particular
you
event,
don't like free things?
for this particular event, I like free and family friendly. I'll take it.
You heard it here. He doesn't like free things, so make him pay for any kind of fan mail you send him.
No.
Yeah.
What?
Hey.
What? You are so funny. Actually, I do
I
love.
am.
Yes, Saturday, September 22nd. We want to tell everyone to join us because. Well, hold on. Your birthday is the next day. Chelsea Schwartz, our co-host,
Yes.
her birthday is the next day. Sala Baker, who played Sauron and variety of orcs,
Kelly
his
Rice
birthday is the day.
The birthday the day before.
The day after. So if you guys get to come and join us, we're going to probably have William Kircher, Sala Baker, and Mr. Graham McTavish is invited. We're going to have cast and friends of the OneRing.net join us, and we would love to have you there.
Most
And
importantly,
for you
food.
hobbits out there, all you hobbits are out there looking for second breakfast, you can have 4 or 5 breakfasts at the Baggins birthday picnic. That's right. 4th breakfast, 5th breakfast.
6th.
I
7th,
love
8th,
it.
9th.
And then just a couple
love
weeks
it.
after, we'll be at New York Comic Con. Ringers Take Manhattan party. Details will be soon.
Yes.
Okay, the Ringers Take Manhattan party happens over what weekend?
First weekend of October.
And that's at New York Comic Con.
Yes.
NYCC. Everybody's going back to the East Coast.
You won't need a badge to go to the party. It's a separate event. We'll have all the details
Off-site
soon.
event. It's going to be brilliant. Hey, how did you guys like that? We actually had the most wonderful time chatting with Mr. McTavish.
Yes,
Isn't
we
he
did.
cool?
He is super cool.
He is so erudite.
Super, super cool.
He is so on point, isn't he?
And he's in Castlevania.
I know he's in Castlevania.
I'm sorry, but Castlevania is one of my favorite things as well. I have to admit, I rewatched all the first season just yesterday.
Oh,
I know.
it's so good.
And you don't get to meet all the main characters together except in the last 10 minutes
Yeah.
of episode 4.
Yeah.
But that was just a teaser. That wasn't even a full season.
That
It was an
season was the
appetizer.
equivalent of a pilot season.
You could say that, yes. A pilot. It was like a big, long 2-hour
Yes.
pilot.
Yep.
But Castlevania, based on a video game, nobody knew that it would fall into the hands of Netflix and would be so cool and be made that well. But Mr. McTavish really is navigating an area of these shows and properties that he's doing, which is right up my alley. All the Vertigo comics that he's in now, which are made into these great shows.
But Cliff, I want to
And
know.
it's just awesome to see him in Hobbit and Tolkien and in Vertigo
Do-
books. I love it.
Do any of the Lord of the Rings or Hobbit notes or appendices tell us what Dwalin was up to? Is it possible that Dwalin goes on the journey to reclaim Moria with Balin and Ori? Is it possible?
Is it possible?
From what I remember, he stayed.
The answer
he stared
is
in Erebor. Am I correct?
it is Balin who went with a team of a lot of other people.
No, I know,
But
but I'm
could-
saying
but-
Dwalin, who stayed in Erebor.
They all stayed for a while,
I
and
believe.
then many years later they went to reclaim Erebor. So,
Well,
is
yeah.
could the TV show also? do they need to stick with whatever notes? I mean, the TV show could send Dwalin.
Yeah, I mean, they could.
Dwalin versus the Balrog? Yes.
Oh.
Dwalin headbutting the Balrog?
Nope.
He would not headbutt the Balrog and get disintegrated.
Look, Dwalin was not one of the members of the company that was stated in the appendix who went with his brother.
But he's
Balin.
not stated.
It is no. The individuals that Tolkien stated are very, very clear. Dwalin is not one of them.
But he's not stated.
Oh, shut up.
Here's an idea. Here's
Just
an
saying
idea that we get to
because he's not
see.
mentioned, the writers will probably write him in anyways. But whatever.
Here's an idea. Owen, when they get to the gates, Owen, he gets eaten by the Watcher of the Water, right?
Owen?
Yeah.
I believe he is attacked by the Watcher in the Water. Yes.
And he gets eaten.
Yes. That's right.
There you go. Sad character screen death.
I'm ready for more Dwalin in the Lord of the Rings
I am
series.
as well.
And I think he's done so much television with Preacher and Outlander that I think Graham has an experience where he knows he can tell a longer story with his character. That's why I'm excited about this TV show. It allows these actors to plan their character arc with the writers of the show.
Here, look at this. It says here, according to the Tolkien Gateway, we're talking about Balin now. Balin, who was played by Ken Stott. Balin, together with Floey, Owen, Ori, Frar, Loni, Nali, and many other dwarves, Balin entered Dimril Dale.
Many other dwarves.
After a short battle, the group entered the Great Gates. They stayed in the 21st Hall, and Balin set up his throne in the chamber of Mazarbul, and he proclaimed himself Lord of Moria. For 5 years, the colony thrived, and they managed to find many old treasures, mithril, and armories, but on November 10th, as Balin went to go look in the mirror, an orc archer fatally shot him. So that's how we know what happens to Balin.
And now he dead.
And now he's dead. So that means that in that story, if they do the dwarves trying to go back and reclaim Moria, they have a lot of a period of time. They got 5 years of traveling, struggles, getting in there, and within that 5 years, they're trying to resettle everything. Sorry?
Owen getting eaten.
And yeah, you could have the Watcher in the Water eat him. You could have these orcs.
He's gonna get eaten.
It's going to be a really. If they do a whole season of just the dwarves reclaiming Moria, they can absolutely write Dwalin to come in and join his brother, and it would be a Ken Stott, Graham McTavish reunion.
Adam Brown.
That would be so cool. And Adam Brown. That would be so cool. Oh, and who else? Owen was played by. Oh, don't tell me. I know. TikTok. Wait, don't tell me. The actor who played Owen. John. Was it? Callan. Yeah, John Callan. I was going to say that.
Yeah. Anyway, this is a great show, great conversation. Thank you guys for coming in early.
You know what? Are we over now? Are we over time? We're actually hit 1 hour. You know what? How strange that is when we're used to doing a 90-minute broadcast. Everybody came and joined us live.
Yes.
You are a remarkable audience. Thank you for being here live with us.
Thank you all so much for coming I don't know how to speak. I'm still starstruck. I'm sorry.
Thanks for sending your questions to Mr. McTavish. We encourage everybody to check out his stuff on IndieGoGo because there's 4 more days and there's some stretch goals. And if I was down in New Zealand, I would be sneaking over the fence on that set doing spy reports like we used to do for the Lord of the Rings. Oh yeah, take a look down here.
And did you hear him?
He
said, did you hear about the perks that he said? He said one of the perks is you could have a tour of Hobbiton or like the Lord of the Rings sets or locations or the Outlander locations, and he'll be your guide. Think about that.
And for $50, for $50, you can get a workout with Graham McTavish himself. Ooh, that's cool.
That would be cool.
He is quite fit.
Yeah, he is fit.
Oh, wow. A signed preacher call sheet for $200 to be a...
Bring out your wallets, my dudes. Bring them out.
For $750, you get afternoon tea with Graham. Oh my gosh, this is going to be so cool. Wow, these characters are really weird. Wow, this looks like Wormtongue. That looks like Brad Dourif, doesn't it?
Oh, that does. Yeah. That looks like him and Gollum had a child.
Oh my gosh, these are character designs for some of these weird, evil, messed up characters that are in the script. I'm really looking forward to this. This is going to be really cool.
I'm excited for this.
Oh my gosh, there's Miss Lady.
Oh, that's creepy.
Oh boy, is that creepy.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that is creepy.
This is like super, super creepy. So very, very, very good, successful IndieGoGo for Mr. McTavish. And how about that, Hannah? We actually had him on the show.
Yeah.
We've been trying for months to get that, and we actually got it to work. So
he kept getting booked on shows. Great working actor.
Great problem to have. One time we booked Billy and Dominic, and then they both got booked on a show and had to go shoot the show.
Star Wars.
Hell, excuse me.
Outlander. Billy Boyd has joined Outlander, which
That's right.
is
Billy Boyd, our very own Pippin, with Graham McTavish on the same bloody show.
John Bell's on that show as well.
He is too.
Yes, he is.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
All them Scots.
Okay, all right. We have to wrap it up because Hannah's having heart palpitations over here right now.
I'm having asthmatic episodes right now.
Asthmatic palpitations.
Yes.
Okay, I'm so stoked. This has just been a great interview. I'm reluctant to say goodbye. You guys are family. You're the best audience we've ever had for over 6 years and counting. Thank you for coming to be part of our audience for theonering.net. Live every Tuesday at Torn Tuesday. Forgive us, mea culpa, for doing a 4 hours early on our schedule. We did an early show.
Hey, but you know what? It's okay. It was worth it.
Worth it.
It was wonderful.
So worth it.
Exactly.
And now, I love you. I want to say
love
hi.
you too.
I love you. I love doing shows with Hannah. She's the best.
Oh.
Any last words? Yes. Follow theonering.net on all of our platforms and social media. The One Ring Net. And if you're just on the regular, web browser, it's theonering.net.
Yes.
And you can find me on Instagram, Twitter, and a lot of other mischief. QuickBeam2000. My name is Clifford Broadway, and that's the first time I've mentioned and identified myself in the show. And you are Hannah Greenwood.
Yes, I am, and that's not a fake name.
Oh my gosh, Hannah Greenwood, everybody.
It's my legal name.
Find you where online?
On Twitter, if you want to find my snarky comments, you can find me at Cimmerillion28. And if you want to see pictures of me lying on the ground crying over fictional characters, you can find me at Baggins is Here. All together, lowercase. Yeah, on Instagram.
You guys are so awesome. Okay, thank you. And I want to say thank you to Scum and Villainy and the hardworking staff here for opening up and having this wonderful venue available.
Yes.
And to our local Ringer fans, we actually did have a live audience here. They were very quiet. There's Kyle, there's Matt, our live audience. Justin, my hat is off to you, good sir. Hats off. Thank you for producing and helping make this all happen. And to you, Graham McTavish, you can find him easily online. Follow him as well. Mm-hmm. He is a gentleman and a scholar, and I'm very excited to have had his intelligence and his talent with us today. Thank you, Graham.
Yes, thank you, Graham.
Until next week, signing off. See you guys later.
Later.